As a part of the Signing the School project, we've gone looking for the telephone number of one of the sites at which we want to do some more interviewing, and I think what we find here is just another example of how schools are being increasingly seen and then portrayed as entrepreneurial or economic sites rather than pedagogical and educational sites. I've gone looking here in the online version of the Telstra White Pages for a particular state school's address, and I have three areas to choose from. I have residential, government or business. Now, residential won't find me the numbers that I'm looking for a particular state school. The obvious one to me would be government. So I've just typed in state school and the location, and when we do a search here now in the government listing of the directory, what we find is a whole series of things, none of which actually gives me the number I'm looking for. We have government departments of education, training and the arts, apprenticeship information, regional office locations and TAFE Queensland contact details, but nothing to do with schools. So the only option that's left to me is to have a look at the business section. So when we tried in business with the state school as the tag and the location, we come up with all of the school sites. We have all of the local primary schools, we have the primary schools to year 10, we come to secondary schools in the area state secondary schools and the out of school hours care centres. So what we find here when we look at state schools is that these are located in the Telstra directory under the business section. Schools as businesses, Telstra tells us so. The interesting thing, I guess, is then to see what happens if we just put in the word school and go searching for that in the business section. And while we have a few extra things like the truck driving school, we bring up all of the state schools, which we had before. We bring up all the secondary schools, but we also then bring up, in the business section, non-government schools. So it would seem that, by and large, at least from a general community-based classification system and a compendium of contact points, contact details, that schools are not seen as anything to do with the community through its governmental agencies, certainly not seen as a residential, but schools fall into the business category. This is another example of our concern through this whole project of schools being seen more as economic than as pedagogical sites.